All right, so we are going to do a due diligence request. And the first thing we're going to do is make sure that all the reports are here in the loop. So you see we've got several different types here. This is what we're looking for to actually put the request together. It's the DD request and agreement. So we're going to open that up. And then just here at the beginning, if you've already populated stuff correctly in your loop, it's going to fill here. Address, buyer, and seller. Do you know the name of the seller off the top of your head, Janine?
I do. It is Melissa Wilson.
So you see we've already got that pre-populated. Now, just a couple of things about the form before we get started. It's going to come pre-populated with this information in there, which we add and make standard for every request, because we're going to list items from the inspection here, but we're going to preface that by saying below items from the inspection reports, work performed by licensed contractor with paid receipts provided. Two things. We want to make sure the work is done by people who are capable of doing the work. We also want to make sure that we have paid receipts provided so we know that the work was completed. And if we have an issue with the work in a reasonable amount of time, we know who to follow up with, because most people guarantee their work. So we're going to come back to this and edit this in a minute. Moving on, number two, you're going to want to click here, because you're going to need to share those inspection reports so the listing agent and their client have something to review that's actually, concrete and written, and it's not just they're taking your word for it. They need to see the reports. And then you'll have your folks sign here before you send it over. Any questions about that?
Nope.
All right, so we're going to click here to edit, and then you'll see we just have a big text box to write in here. Now, you see we're limited to space, so you'll see as we go through these and make the items, we're going to point out to the specific inspection, and then, kind of shorthand so it's easy for them to directly reference what we're talking about. So with the three inspections here, the first one we have is septic and water, where it pumps to an off-site system, so there's not a septic tank on hand, so nothing to worry about there. It does say that the well, they should add about 8 bags of salt to the water softener system, because there is a softener. What are your thoughts on that, Janine? Should we add that to the report? Was that something you would add?
I mean, it depends on the expense. I feel like it depends on the inspection report and everything that you're asking for.
Yep.
If there's not a lot you're asking for, go ahead. That's something you can buy in the grocery store. I used to have a water softener, and we would just buy the salt and put it in. And so that's something she's going to have to maintain down the road anyway.
Anyways, right. All right. So I think we can leave that off based on that. Now, that doesn't mean it's not going to change once you talk to your client. What we're doing at this point is putting together the thoughts that we think should be addressed. Then we'll share it with the client and say, what else on the report do you think should be addressed other than this? We always want to give them our recommendations and then be open to edits, but also be willing to and able to coach them into what to expect is reasonable and that the sellers are going to want to deal with. Also, what should be left off so they don't do smaller things in lieu of larger items that need to be taken care of. We want to focus on safety, livability, things like systems, HVAC, heating and air, septic if there is an issue, plumbing, electrical, roof, foundation, those items. So I think we can close that one out. Moving on to the pest inspection. This one is clean.
Yay.
You can see on here there no evidence of termites, or this would be checked, and then what they recommend or what's going on. Same thing with powder post beetles or borers or others. This one is clean. Yay. So we don't need to request anything from the pest inspection. If there's something on here like active termites, you're definitely going to want to request that or any other thing. Sometimes they will put other notes in the report for things that need to be handled, and it's usually up here. They might say there's trash or wood debris in the crawl space which could attract termites. You might ask them to remove that. Sometimes they might say that there's a high moisture level, in which case you might want to have a specialist come out to deal with that or request that that's dealt with at the seller's expense. But for the purpose of this instance, we can ignore that because it's good to go. Now we're going to get to the home inspection report. Now, typically these are 20 to 50 pages, okay? Some are short, some are long. Long doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad report. Short doesn't necessarily mean it's a good report. Doesn't necessarily matter the age of the house either. It's all about how people have maintained their homes. You get a brand new home inspection done on a brand new home, and you're going to get items, I guarantee you. And that's because the inspector is paid to point out every single thing. And you'll see going through any report, there are a lot of minor items. So we're looking for the major items. So let's get started. We're going to start here. They give us a little bit of a summary about things to kind of keep an eye out for. So just reading through those really quickly. Support beams for the roof and the porch, wood deterioration, stains on the wall, subfloor and staining in the shower and around there. Crawl space has some issues. So we're going to go and look at this too. Component systems not operating or requiring service. These are things that they're pointing out that we should really make sure we make note of and see if we think that for your client's comfort level, we should ask them to fix it. So we're going to move through kind of this language that is going to be in most items, just to let you know. For example, deferred cost item. They're going to say the water heater is 14-year-old and it's near the end of its serviceable life. Does that mean it doesn't work? Not at all. Does that mean that they're going to replace it because it's near the end of its life? Absolutely not, probably. So you want to make sure that you're understanding that this is a home inspection is like a homeowner's manual for your home. It's giving you information. It's not saying everything in here needs to be fixed or will be fixed or even entertained by the seller. Okay.
Like taking your car in and asking them what to fix.
Correct. You'll get a lot of items. Not all of them are going to be necessary. And some are just homeowner issues, the joy of owning a house.
Right.
And then, of course, there's going to be some disclosures like they couldn't get everywhere in the house, of course, like the attic or the crawl space. They couldn't check the heat for the HVAC, well, because it was 90 degrees outside, et cetera, et cetera. Again, all disclaimers. So we're going to move on. This just talks about the scope. Basically, you can read that. It's just saying that they're limited in everything that they can look at, and you should get specialists for special things like HVAC, roof, maybe structural if they indicate areas that need looks there. So now we're going to get to the meat of the report, because this is where we get color-coded from this inspector things that really need attention. And again, just because they're pointed out, it doesn't mean that they're going to be done. So starting here, areas of damaged cladding and growth in contact with the wall cladding. You know, if there aren't a lot of issues on this inspection, would we say, yeah, trim back the bushes that are touching the house? Absolutely. If there are other bigger items that we want them to focus on and we don't want to give them an out by saying, yeah, we'll trim the bushes, then you're going to leave this off. What do you think on this one, Janine?
Well, I've seen this report, and I think that this is one of the least of our worries right now.
Fantastic. So we'll keep moving on. And I think the same thing with this, unless you disagree.
The exterior, I can't read. There you go. Wall cladding. And
it's basically saying they usually leave like a little gap right here, and they didn't
right.
leave as much of a gap.
It says it is deteriorated.
Deterioration has occurred.
I don't know.
There are several exterior items, so why don't we read through the exterior and then we can revisit this. So no to this, but probably or maybe to this.
Yes.
Also, small areas, so there's some trim issues here. Deteriorated paint, well, I mean, they're not going to paint just because the paint's chipped. These other items are satisfactory. This post is going to be a huge deal, obviously.
I think this is a foundation issue here, structural issue here. Not foundation, structural issue here.
And see the screen, no, we're not going to ask for that. The hose bib is loose unless it's leaking, and it doesn't say it is. It says it may cause damage in a leak. I wouldn't ask for them to repair that given some of the other things. What do you
wouldn't
think?
ask for the screen door to be fixed? I mean, the whole thing, when I was over there, the whole thing is almost completely out. I know that the tenant.
Let me read it a little bit closer. This just says the screen on the deck is damaged.
So that's the back screen and porch there. And the previous pictures up there is the front porch.
So there's nothing about the screen other than this. So we're just going on what you visually saw. So you're saying it's worth asking for?
It looks like a couple dogs jumped through the screen. I mean, the whole thing's torn.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the beginning of this then.
Okay.
So when we point out items, we're going to say home inspection, page 7, and in this one we'll say number 2, item 2, since we're referring to this, correct? We want to add that one?
I think so.
Okay. Page 7, item 2. And see how we do that without putting a bunch of language in there, so they can come right here, page 7, item 2, read it, see the picture from the inspector, and know exactly what needs to be taken care of. Are we adding this one as well? What do you think, Janine?
I'm trying to read it. It's small on your screen. Water may enter. Oh, thank you. I mean, if it's a rot issue, probably.
We can add, and then we can revisit before we submit it and see what we're dealing with.
This is a 14-year-old home.
Right. So some of these things are to be expected and should visibly be noted sometimes when people are there. All right. So trim, page 7, item 1.
Okay.
Okay. I think we agreed we're going to skip the paint. And then page 9, porches, posts.
Yes, 100%.
Page 9, porches. Oops. Posts. Oops. Posts and screens.
Yep.
And that's page 9 and 10.
Yep.
And just to make sure we have enough room, I'm going to go back and shorten these up a little bit.
Oh, I see what you're doing.
Okay. We're going to keep coming down here. Do you want to ask about the faucet? Yes or no?
Is that something that is an easy fix per, like a handyman or yourself, or is that something that needs to be?
I would probably get a handyman or a plumber to do it, just to make sure that nothing is done that causes a leak down the line. But it could be pricey, so let's put it in there just for now.
Okay.
Page 10, loose hose faucet. Isn't that technically the spigot? Anyways, roofing.
I think roof is a big deal. This one's probably towards the end of its life anyway.
Okay.
I think whatever's messed up with the roof needs to be fixed.
Okay, so page 11.
Roof. I think it's mostly exposed nail heads. I can't remember what else it said.
I think we can skip the debris in the gutter. What do you
Sean
think?
said that those did need to be cleaned out. He said they are pulling back from the house quite a bit. He said they are really, really full.
Okay, page 12. Garage, this is a safety issue, the safety mechanism, garage door. I agreed there.
Yes.
Deteriorated trim here. Yeah.
What do you think?
I
mean,
think
that's
we haven't really skipped but one thing so far. We can put it in there, but I want to set the expectation that we're not going to get every item fixed.
Right.
And then we can always revisit when we get to the end.
Right.
You know, there's some deterioration just because of you know, life, wear, deferred maintenance. If you go look at my garage, around my garage doors, it's like that at the bottom right now, in at least 2 places I know.
Pets and stuff too. Yeah.
Up to you. What do you think?
I mean, if the door was hanging off or something,
Yeah, it's just loose here at the bottom, and probably without seeing it too close, I bet that's just deteriorated, probably rotten a little bit at the bottom. I would leave that one off, especially it's not going into the house, it's going into the garage.
mm,
Okay, so right here, page
There's-
14.
there's an active moisture
Yeah.
issue. You've got to fix that.
Page
So
4.
I saw these when I was there. They're pretty. I mean, they're pretty big. You can see them with the naked eye.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty clear in the picture there too.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know what kind of damage has been done before that's been repaired. He said the moisture reading was low, but who knows?
right, and still it should have been repaired correctly.
Exactly.
Same thing here, even though it's dry.
There was one in the kitchen and there was a big one in the living room too.
16. We're going to ignore the anti-tip device. That's always something that's going to be included.
Is there like an extra sheet that you can write on if that doesn't all fit?
If you have to, yeah. Page 17, well, you should secure the dishwasher.
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about this. You can probably get that at Lowe's or something.
Okay.
I mean, the tiles were presumably cracked when you were there.
So that's the door to the garage. It goes from the laundry room straight to the garage.
Okay.
And then on the other side of that is the master, I think. Master bathroom. I'll tell you, when I went into the master bathroom, the first thing I noticed was all that grout in the shower. I was like, what happened in here?
They don't have it draining well, so the water's just pooling there and sitting there.
Yeah.
So I think we should just say sloping, you know, page 19 and 20, multiple sloping issues.
Yeah.
And we can do the loose toilet if you'd like.
I mean, that's in every bathroom in every house, I feel like.
Probably a little bit. I would want them to focus more on the sloping than the loose toilet. Yeah, all the toilets are loose.
That's an issue, I think.
Damage around shower head, page 24.
Yeah, that's the upstairs bathroom. That was a huge, in fact, there was dark area on the wall right there to the left of that shower head that might have looked like mold or something, moisture.
Okay.
That's in the closet, I think.
It says 0% moisture at time of inspection. I think you should skip that one. Of course, we're not going to ask for them to fix any doors that don't latch or tighten anything up like that, or switches or anything like that. I don't think you should anyways. You can always get a handyman to do that if someone can't do it themselves, or unless there's absolutely nothing else on the report.
Yeah, right. But I think the issue here, there's a lot of built-ins that have made the doors heavy, that have made it hard to close, I think.
That's probably it. It's just not lining up because of the weight, the additional weight.
That was a big stain that we noticed there as well. What is that? Detached drywall corner
This
trim.
just looks like it's coming apart here, not
Oh,
necessarily because of water damage. I mean, that's just something that happens with age and settling in every house.
Mine has that right over there.
Yeah, I can see one where I'm sitting right now too. Hallway will not latch. No. This just looks like a stain. I mean, I would say.
I asked Sean about that. He said it's not a moisture thing. He said maybe it's just wear. Maybe they had a Christmas tree there. Who knows? He said it's a wear spot that's discolored.
Okay. Living room did not indicate. I mean, you could always say address stains in the living room prior. Are they aware of prior leak? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dining room, same thing. That was the trim. There's a little stain there. Maybe these people are just really dirty. 33 and 34.
I don't know, dude. And I told Lisa, I said, looks like the whole house could use a coat of paint.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it hadn't been painted since they bought it.
Yeah, maybe.
Storage room is good. All right, dehumidifier.
Yeah,
So
this is where we get into the major issues.
yeah, that's fun. Seeing how many we've listed already.
I know. You don't know till you know.
Nope, that's why we have it done. And then 36 and 37, improper joist repair.
So that floor joist is completely, does it look like it was tried to be repaired before and wasn't done properly?
That's the way I read it.
Okay.
Makeshift repairs, deteriorated.
It's like the wood is rotted there, Doug.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think I remember him saying something about the insulation being wet.
It says the installation is satisfactory. So
Okay.
that's all we have to go on. That's just pointing that out. I mean, they're not going to replace hot water heaters because it's old if it's working. And they're already providing a home warranty to cover some of that stuff if it does go bad. So we had this evaluated separately, and we chose not to ask for the salt. I don't think we need to ask them to trim the stuff back unless you really want to. I'd rather them have an HVAC technician come out and deal with this stuff.
Yeah, right.
So that's page 41.
HVAC, is that just what you put there?
Yep.
Okay. Oh, maybe that's what he was talking about.
Oh, yeah, the moisture for that.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's in the attic. Looks like it's the same thing. There's some stuff going on there too. So 41, 42.
42.
I'm just going to put multiple HVAC issues.
Yes. Jeez, look at that. Ugh.
I mean, we're not going to ask them to replace smoke alarms.
How long are you supposed to change those out?
I mean, I guess every 10 years.
But there's no CO alarm. Is that not?
It wasn't required when they built the house. So I would just recommend that they get one.
Okay.
Mine don't have them built in. I have well, they do when I added my security system, but I also have one sitting right above both fireplaces, which is the only things I have for gas in my house. So, I mean, the rail, that's not, again, it's not necessary. I might ask them to do this post because that could be.
They have a child.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking if they have any children.
They do. They have 2 children.
Post. Okay, and then I'm looking for no more yellow, and there's no more. Okay.
So this is a long report.
It is, but it's a larger house, and the house is about what, 15 years old, 10 years old?
3,100 square feet, 14 years old.
So look, we have plenty of room. We can handle another 10 more pages.
Okay, come on.
So that doesn't feel so bad, right? We still have 2 empty lines, so it won't look so bad when we send it over. Right?
We're not sending another 3 pages.
Right. All right. So I think we can go with that as is to get the conversation started. I don't think there's anything ticky-tacky on there at all. It's just there are several items. So, when you share that.
There's a few big items too, yeah.
When you share it with your folks, be like, look, there are some things on here that are minor, but that we could ask for. So I included to get your feedback. But then also there's some more important items that definitely need to be addressed. So let's be prepared to get rid of some of these if we need to make sure the larger ones are taken care of. So you don't have to deal with those after the fact.
Now, question. When you send this through, the seller gets to pick who they want to use. If the buyer has a specific like HVAC or whatever person, how do you deal with that?
I mean, you can always make that request in this. If you've got use XYZ for foundation or XYZ for roof or XYZ for HVAC, you can do that, but the seller doesn't have to accept it. I mean, everything's a negotiation, of course.
Okay.
So usually what I advise in that situation is if you want your own people to do it and they don't agree to it, get quotes from your people, provide the quotes, and ask for the money and take care of it after closing.
Okay.
Either get a price reduction or get additional closing costs or get a check cut directly to the vendor for the amount they quoted.
Okay.
Or just get them the receipt. The list agent might say, well, get us a quote. And you get them the quote, you send it, and they're like, okay, we'll do that. And then they go ahead and do it, and then they pay the people at closing for it.
So then it would just be a seller expense at closing?
Right. So there's no one way to do it. It's usually about, are the buyers more comfortable with doing it on their own and being compensated for it now, doing it on their own after closing, or they want everything done when they move in the house?
I'm pretty sure that's how it's going to want to be.
And then it's also, as the seller, well, I don't want to deal with this, I'll just throw some money at the problem, or they'd rather get their own people to do it because then they can pick and choose and, spend as little money as possible.
Okay.
So, don't overthink it. I would usually just submit this and then let the ball get rolling and see how they respond.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions?
Nope.
All right, so you got all the information in here. Just a reminder, you got that box checked. You got the signature places assigned. You're going to save. And you're not going to want to share it yet. You're going to want to go back to
Get your
loop.
sellers or your buyers to okay it before you share it.
Right, you're going to share it over, make sure your folks see it, and then once you work it out, finalize it, they sign it, you're going to boom, 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 hit share, and send it on over to Harold, the listing agent, and then you're good to go.
All right.
All righty, and that is how you do a due diligence repair request. So, and now you know, and knowing is half the battle.
I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, Eric and Hero, thanks for joining us.